right, welcome to this episode 25 of the Not Another Sports podcast. This is the home of sports talk for everyone. My name is Jason, and obviously if you're watching this on YouTube, you see that is not David in the co-host chair. David could not make it this week, so we have Brad from Baseball Together hanging out with me this week. How are you doing?
Doing great, Jason. How you doing?
I have no complaints, other than the Phils, but that could be a whole sub-issue. I do have to say before we start getting going, congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks winning their first NBA championship. The Suns yet again are the bridesmaids.
You know, I thought Chris Paul was finally going to get a ring, but whatever. You know, I live in Phoenix, but I'm not actually a Suns fan, so it is what it is. It's fine.
Well, congrats to the Bucks. With that, we are going to move into our first period topic this week, the Cleveland Guardians. So what are your thoughts on the name change?
They could have done better, I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of us thought months ago they were just the Spiders were like the super obvious answer, right?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like it was going with.
Yeah, I thought that would be the way to go. And then all of a sudden, you know, you text me, you're like, we're going to talk about the Guardians. I'm like, the Guardians of who?
The Galaxy.
Of what? That's what I was like, cool. I'll talk Marvel all day with you. That's fine. But man,
I could do that myself.
I don't know. So before I share my thoughts, though, Jason, what do you think of the name? What do you think of the name and the logo and everything? And you've got the script behind you. Curious what you think of all of that.
You know, Denise in our Baseball Together admins discussion group, she was not a fan of the winged logo. I actually really like that winged logo with the G and the wings with it. I like that a lot. I think that is sharp.
Okay. Well, what about the name?
I don't hate it. I mean, I was part of the very small minority who was kind of like hoping for the Blue Sox. So I thought that would have
been really cool.
I thought that would have been a really cool idea. But I mean, they don't really have to change the font a ton. The C and the Cleveland word mark is fine. It doesn't look too different. They kept the colors, which I was actually surprised by. I thought they would do kind of a wholesale change. Colors, script, logo. They really just changed the name and the logo. The script's kind of similar. I'm intrigued to see how it will look on a hat and on a uniform, though.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, and I wonder if they were like, we want to keep the colors. If that was like one of their big things, and if maybe that's why they didn't go with spiders, because that would kind of have that Spider-Man vibe.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, so this is my thing. I was looking at it, and my first thought immediately, like this is legitimately my thought. Everything about this feels very AA. The name, the script, and the G with the wings on it. And then I was looking at it some more. I was like, okay, you know, I can kind of get it. That's cool. But let me show you this, Jason. It popped into my mind yesterday what that G logo specifically reminded me of.
I see that.
I'm showing you right now the Greenville Drive logo. That is like, it looks like a G with wings on it. It's just like from a different angle, a little bit different style. I'm like, that's why this felt so double A to me, because the Greenville Drive are literally a AA team. And so I hope that logo is honestly just a placeholder, because it feels like clip art.
So I'm actually on sportslogos.net while we're talking, which love that website.
Okay.
And it has a thing on there explaining the new Cleveland Guardians primary logo, which it is the G with the baseball and the wings. And it says that the G wrapped around the baseball is mimicking the grip of a split finger fastball.
You'll look this up. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think of that either. I just thought, oh, that's a really cool logo. But now knowing that it is made to look like a split finger fastball grip, that's a really cool kind of, it's something I don't think the average fan would pick up on.
You know, look, I don't know that they necessarily did that on purpose, because you look at it, because really look at it. The side of the stitching that's out is the typical, like how you would draw a baseball with like not the horseshoe side. You don't draw the horseshoe side. It's the two seam, right?
Right.
That's the side that's out. Like, yeah, they could have done it vertically to split the G's, and then it wouldn't have been. But the way that they had those two stitches, or the two seams on there horizontal, and then I think it just happens to be a split finger fastball. I don't know that they were necessarily like, you know what we should do? It'd be really cool. Because I think if they were going to do that, they probably would have gone a four seamer, because that's like the bread and butter, right, of a pitcher typically. But no, it's funny, like it's cool. I don't know that they did it on purpose.
I think what adds, I mean, we both had a separate conversation talking about that it's definitely related to the city of Cleveland, because they have those Guardian statues in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what you said, it's as a AA minor league kind of name. Guardians tend to be team wise. Like there was an XFL team, I think it was the New York Guardians. Like the Guardians tends to get used in lower level sports leagues. Like it's not a top four sports league kind of name. So they're definitely taking a name that has a connotation of a lower tier pro sport.
Yeah. And, and this is my thing too, is like, I found out, cause I saw somebody said specifically, it's a tribute or homage or whatever to the Guardians of Traffic. And I was like, that's a thing. What is this? So I had to look it up, and I was like, okay, those statues are sweet. I mean, we're going to throw back to Marvel a lot tonight, at least with this segment. I'm going to be honest with you, because they looked like the timekeepers from the TVA on Loki. Am I right?
Yep.
And I was like, and I saw a couple mock-ups that people had done, like, this is what they should have done. I'm like, yeah, that's what they should have done. They should have incorporated those faces of the statues somehow into the logo, because I think that would have been way cool, instead of our buddy Brig called it the Thor ball.
I like that, though. I like that. But here's the thing. This is definitely going to be their first season next year with this name, with this logo, word mark, whatever. That doesn't mean that we won't see the Guardians actually in a logo down the road. I think this is something to get it out, get them ready for next season, and they'll go from there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, it's like, what was it, a couple years ago, the Chargers came out with a new LA logo, and it was like LA, basically how the Dodgers do theirs, but it was with lightning bolts.
Yes.
And they caught hell for like 12 hours, and then they're like, oh, well, we don't really need that one. They pulled it off the shelf, And so I think if we make a big enough stink about this, I called it a clip art logo, because I feel like that's what it is. They're just kind of pieced together. That maybe they'll come out with something better. I don't know, but I'm not a Cleveland fan, so what do I care?
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, this one and our third period topic is more because we're Uniwatch nerds than anything.
Yeah.
God, and I remember when the Chargers had that logo, that was a huge controversy on Uniwatch.
Oh, sure.
Dude, I've been reading that site forever.
Oh, me too. I went back to school a long time ago. I guess it's about 5 or 6 years ago now, because I wanted to be a sports writer. And my first day in school, somebody's like, "So what do you want to do?" I was like, "You know what? My dream job, honestly, and I know it wouldn't be full time, but if I could be a contributor for Uniwatch, that would be like making it for me, because that would just be awesome." Like, I love that website so much.
I do, and I hate that it was not Paul, it was Phil who screwed up my name like 3 times on the site when I've contributed. I incorrectly said Paul last time, but it was actually Phil. God, I want to get that hat. Have you seen the Uniwatch hat?
It's probably been a while since I have.
All green cap with the stirred up with the Wings logo. It's sweet.
Oh yes, I have seen it. Yeah,
and I actually think they have shirts now with the same logo, and you can get them like in team colors. And I think they have Seattle's as an option.
Pardon me while I do a quick shopping trip. because that's outstanding.
I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think.
But
yeah,
but
I mean,
Jason, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know. Like, do you think that? I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit ago. You said Blue Sox, which I thought was cool when somebody first mentioned that because, and everybody's been upset they didn't go to the Spiders. I said that I thought that that's what they were going to do, but it kind of makes sense because when they went from the Spiders, and then because the Spiders were their own entity, right, and then they were disbanded, whatever, and no more. And then when the Indians franchise came in, they became the Blues, which was actually what the Spiders were first, right? So I feel like the Blue Sox thing would have made more sense, and I thought that would be pretty cool too because my niece plays on a travel softball team called the Blue Sox, so I thought that would have been really cool for them. But I don't know. Do you feel like there was any other viable option besides the Spiders, the Blue Sox, or obviously the Guardians?
I mean, I saw other suggestions. Spiders and Blue Sox historically made the most sense. I don't hate the Guardians by any means. I do think it's interesting that they went from the Indians to the Guardians and they kept that DIANS ending. Like that might be, maybe I'm giving them more credit than they deserve, but I think it's just, it was smart to find something that had a similar ending verbally.
There have been a lot of people who actually said that. I saw that Mike Wilbon made a big thing about that. He's like, it's unoriginal. It's lazy. All they did was change the beginning of the word. And it's like, well, they had to like actually find a word. If that's what they did, they actually had to find a word that ended the same, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, but they didn't keep the same font. Like it's similar, but it's like, it's more sharp. The edges are
It is
sharp,
definitely a sharper font compared to what Cleveland's using now. Now, a gentleman we both know from the Baseball Together VIP group, Brandon New, made a point on another group that if you can see the I and the R behind me, that it kind of looks a little bit like an I and an N. And like they somehow secretly snuck Indians into the logo without anyone noticing. Now, I think that's a big stretch in my part. I can see where he's making that call. I just think it's a stretch.
That is definitely a stretch.
I get what he's saying. I just think it's a stretch.
They would have been more likely to do if they kept the entire font in cursive.
Yes.
If that's what they were going for, they definitely could have pulled that off. But no, that's a stretch.
But overall, I don't dislike it.
And then they could have put like something above the A too, some kind of accent or something like the Guardians, and use that as like the I.
As the dot, yeah.
I don't know. If that's what they were really going for, they could have tried a little harder.
There's worse things they could have been. I don't know. I mean, really, this is going to come down to how the city of Cleveland accepts it, and we got half a season yet to get through with the Indians before we find out how they accept the Guardians.
I did see some guy with like paper wings taped to the side of his hat yesterday. I actually watched SportsCenter for the first time in like 4 years yesterday, and I saw some guy who had the paper wings taped to his hat. I was like, that guy's ready to go. That guy's ready to buy a Guardians hat the day that it drops.
Oh, I bet. You know what? And there will be those diehards who do that, and thank God for diehards. Because
the problem with diehards sometimes though is that they validate stuff that shouldn't be validated. It's like, no. Oh boy.
Well, I think I'm pretty good on this one. I don't know if I have anything else to add. How do you feel about this one?
I think that was about it.
All right. Well, then at that point, we will pause for a brief break, and we'll be back with the second period.